Okay, so now we want to talk about capturing leads. So as we talked about before, basically you have, let's just call this your lead capture mechanism, just to get fancy. That'd be like your squeeze page. That's generally what we're talking about. And you've got all these different traffic sources. Generally, it's better to have multiple traffic sources. I'd rather have 50 ways to drive someone to my site than one way to drive 50 people to my site. It's more robust when you've got lots of ways to drive people to your site. So then you drive them into your squeeze page. So when you get to your squeeze page, lots of different designs for a squeeze page, of course. So let's say this is your page. And these, I don't want to lock you in by saying this is the way to do it, because there's lots of different squeeze pages and they evolve over time, lots of different designs. But, like for one I was using for a while, had a headline here, and then a video here, and then an opt-in box where people put their email and their name there, and then more copy here. And that worked really, really well, and it still continues to work really, really well. Another one that, there's lots of them that are just simply, a headline here, some copy, and then an opt-in box, where they put their name and their email address. Or it could be another one we've done recently, at a headline and some copy and a picture of a video right here, and then a place for their name and their email address there. And actually when they clicked here, it looks like a video, but it's just a picture of a video. When they click there, it says, oops, you got to put your name and email address down here to subscribe. So lots of different designs over time. Something you should do is you should take a look at your competitors in whatever market you're in, and just in general look around for squeeze pages and see what looks like it might be working. That's the important thing, is you never know what's working. So you want to be testing. We're going to be talking about testing quite a bit, because this is the place that you really, as I mentioned earlier, squeeze pages are a fantastic place to test. Like, for example, that one I told you about that I used for quite a bit was a headline. So this is the head. And then we actually had a video here. And this was a full-out video. It was maybe, I don't know, the one that I used is actually up around 8-10 minutes. But it could be 3 or 4 minutes. It's tough to make an 8 to 10 minute video that really captures people and gets them to watch it and opt in. And then we had name, email address there, and then we had some copy here. When I tested this thing, this copy didn't matter whatever. I mean, I could put anything there. It could be about growing tomatoes, and you could put stuff about right here about learning guitar, and it didn't matter whatsoever. People actually didn't read that copy. The headline mattered. And then the video, of course, mattered quite a bit. And the image, we loaded an image there and showed them an image before the video started playing. And that image, what image we showed, really made a big difference. We tested the image just being a headline and like sort of another headline there, a teaser, or a picture of someone. The picture of someone actually won there. Now again, this is a very specific test, but this is the kind of stuff, I ran a lot of people through these sites, and I tested and found out what worked. Another thing that makes a big difference is what information are you asking from people? Are you going for just the email address? Okay, so this is a whole nother subject here, but this makes a big difference in terms of whether people subscribe. Obviously, you need them to enter their email address. And hopefully you get a good email address from them. A lot of people have multiple email addresses. They have a junk email address, and they might give that to you. So if you have a good bribe and a good reason for people to opt in, then they're going to give you their better email address. So you might want to make it clear that sometimes copy like put in your best email address and we'll send you the download, something like that, so that whatever goodie they're going to get for opting in, we generally deliver the link to their inbox or deliver the goodie to their inbox, So that way they only get it if they give you a good email address. A lot of people ask for a name. Now, as soon as you ask for a name, then your opt-in rate starts to drop. Every piece of data you add, the opt-in rate starts to drop. So this is something you actually have to test. It's like, is getting their name, does that end up down the road converting better for you? And that's not an easy test to do. The squeeze page is a really easy test to do, to figure out what's converting better. But here, if you're going to capture their name, then you have to test putting their name in the emails. That's the only reason you capture a name, is to put their name in the emails. Now, I know, right now, most of my publishing is in the internet marketing world, teaching people how to grow their businesses online. And I know in this world, people often enter just garbage for their names. They'll enter, a lot of times they'll enter a tracking code so they can tell, they subscribe to my site or something. So if I say, if their tracking code was, Jeff launch stuff, whatever. Or it might be, the name of my product is product launch formula. So they might, instead of putting in their name, if their name might be Fred, instead of putting in Fred, they'll put in product launch right there, okay? So now when I send them an email and the email says, hey, product launch, how you doing? Well, it doesn't work so good, right? And you'd be shocked what a large percentage of people do that in this world. Now, if you're doing stuff about knitting, if you're teaching people about knitting, or if you're teaching people about like growing tomatoes or playing guitar, you probably don't have to worry about this. They're probably just going to put their name in it because they're not quite as jaded and as, let's just leave it that way, as jaded as a lot of the people in the IM space. So maybe it does work to have a first name if you're teaching about knitting, and then you say, hi Norma Jean, how's your knitting coming? Something along that lines. Then, so it's market dependent. Same thing with putting someone's name in the subject line. If you were to say, first of all, if you did it and the dude put in product launch, it'd be product launch, comma, check this out. It's like, that'd be pretty stupid, right? But even if they put in their real name, it can often look pretty spammy in the internet marketing. In this internet marketing world where I do most of my publishing, I just have to be hyper aware of stuff like that. Because people, a lot of times they'll see their first name in the subject line and they'll just, it'll send off warning signals. Because think about it, like one of the things I like to do is I want my emails to appear as much like a personal email as possible. And if you think about it, when you write an email to your friends, do you ever put their first name in the subject line? No, you don't. So I don't tend to do that. Now again, some markets, the less jaded markets, in fact, we could do this whole, how should we draw the jaded curve, It's like, here's like, this is the cynical / jaded. And what is this? This is how long people have been online, or it's just by market. / market. And, I think over here we've got, I'm just supposing, I've never published in the knitting market, but over here we might have the knitting market and they're not jaded, and the growing tomatoes market's probably not too jaded. But somewhere in here, maybe the dating market is jaded, and certainly the how to grow your business online is like up here somewhere. And the Forex stuff, just certain markets, they're more and more jaded. They're cynical, okay? Youth, generally the younger the market, we could make this age over here. And so if it's age, and here's, 6 years old, and here's 8 years old, and here's 12 years old, and here's 25, and 35. I think it starts off, they're not jaded. This curve is a little weird. It's probably more like this. They're not jaded when they're 6, And then all of a sudden by 8, they're starting to get jaded. And of course at 12 to 15, they're like up here. And then maybe they stay up there. And then that, when they're like 75, they might be less jaded. So yeah, it's just knowing your market, knowing your avatar. And so that everything you do in terms of your publishing is going to depend on your market, and how jaded, cynical they are is one of the aspects. I mean, this is obviously not something you're going to graph out for your market, but it's something you need to be thinking about. And I told you how I think about it. I think about it with the internet marketing space is far more jaded, so I have to worry about like putting subject line, putting first names in subject lines and stuff like that. So just something to be aware of.